Do you think you know how to build a fire? Well, watch to the end to see what most people do wrong that are preventing the perfect fire. I am Meander and Mitch, and in my friend group, I'm the guy who always starts the campfire, and that's because I know how to get it going so that it doesn't go out. So today we're going to talk about exactly how you can do that to make better fires. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So you're going to need 3 main ingredients for the perfect fire, and ideally, all of these ingredients are as dry as possible. The first thing you're going to need is tinder, next is kindling, and lastly is your fuel wood. Now, today we're going to use a fire starter in place of tinder. If you don't have a fire starter, what you're going to want to use is either paper or cardboard, anything like that that's dry and will burn for a little bit should work perfectly fine. Now, if you don't have that stuff, it's time to go for a walk and gather it. You want to start with as many dry sticks as possible and in varying sizes ideally. So once you've gathered all your sticks, from the wee little ones to the ones that you maybe shouldn't have gathered because they're so big, you're going to want to make sure your fire pit is prepped. Now to do this, you're going to want to remove all the previous material that has been gathered in there, whether it's burnt wood, gathered leaves, whatever it might be. Clear it out. You need it dry and you need it clear from debris so that it doesn't mess up your airflow and make it just harder to start the fire. I almost forgot. You can't forget your water. It is very important to have water handy just in case your fire starts to go awry. You want to make sure you have everything you need to put it out. So get the water before you start, have it ready so it's there when you want to put out your fire. Now, once you have all your materials and you have them close and handy, and your fire pit is fully prepped, it's time to start the fire. To start the fire, what I like to do is take a large piece of wood and set it down as my sidewall and base. Next, what I'll do is take my tinder, or in this case the fire starter, and place it right next to that piece of wood. Now the reason I do it this way is because it gives you a wall to protect from air, so you can do this even on windier conditions and it makes it a lot easier. Now again, if you don't have a fire starter, you can use other tinder, paper, cardboard, that kind of stuff. It just makes it a lot easier if you have some fire starters, so if you can, snag a couple of those. It'll make your fire experience significantly faster and much more consistent. Once the fire starter is lit, what you're going to do is pile on your smaller sticks. And now you want to go from the smallest sticks you have to some of the bigger sticks, not the biggest ones yet, but you're going to get gradually larger in size. Now it's very important you make sure you don't put the sticks directly on your fire starter. You need to have some room so that the fire can go up through the sticks and you still have enough oxygen so that it can breathe, lifting the flame up through the sticks and catching them on fire. As promised, the secret to having the best fire is to add more smaller pieces of wood. What everyone wants to do is they've added their small stuff, they've added a little bit bigger. Now let's go to the logs. That's not it. You want to add as many smaller pieces as you possibly have to get a great foundation. Once you have all the hot coals, your fire is not going to go out. And even if it does, you can always throw on some other smaller pieces of wood to recatch and your fire is going again. Now that we've not added the big logs too soon and we have a good base, we're going to add the bigger logs. Now this is ideally in either 1/8 or 1/4 pieces of log, then going up to half, in full if you really need to. Most of the time I stop at 1/4 pieces of wood. I personally find that you don't need much longer than that, and I don't mind throwing extra wood on the fire just to get it going. Now to cap off your perfect fire, you want to make sure you do all of this safely, and it is very important to keep your perimeter very clear and free of debris for the entirety of the fire. The last thing you want is for a hot coal to pop out into some dry material. Next thing you know, your fire's out of hand. Definitely don't do that. And just in case that does happen, you want to have your water handy, again, the entire time. Now the amount of water you need for your fire is going to depend on the fire size. So if you have a really big fire, have a lot of water, or make sure you have some kind of water source handy that you can take water to or from in the event of a spread. Okay, so you've added your fuel wood and your fire is going. The best way to keep it going is to add more wood. Now that might sound like common sense, but what you really need to consider is how long do you want to burn your wood for. Now there's going to be factors to take into consideration, like the dampness of the wood, dryness of the wood, hardness of the wood. Different things like that are going to make the wood burn for different lengths of time. So you're going to kind of figure it out as you throw on the wood that you're using. But for the most part, the smaller the wood, the less time it's going to burn for. If you catch yourself throwing wood back into the fire, from the fire, you want to make sure you grab it at a safe place, not to burn yourself. Take it from me, it does not feel very good. Now, the sad part. You've built this beautiful fire, and now you've got to put it to sleep. It's actually quite a travesty. But You have to make sure you do it properly because you don't want your fire to spread when you leave it. Now what you're gonna do is spread out your coals and all of the hot material as wide out in the fire pit as you can while keeping it in the fire pit. That is a very important part of this because you don't want to spread the hot coals outside of the fire pit and miss something. Spread the materials out as much as you possibly can, and then take your water that you've already had with you the entire time, hopefully, and start to extinguish the fire, going from the most obvious spots to the least obvious spots, making sure you soak the entire area. You want absolutely no red, white coals anywhere. Make sure everything is fully doused before you leave your campfire. This is important because as Smokey the Bear would say, wait, I can't say Smokey the Bear? As Bokey the Smare would say, only you can prevent forest fires. And just for you, I switched those last two F's. So you can't, it's a loophole. I guess it's the same thing as the B and the S, whatever, leave me alone. Super quick recap. What you're gonna need: tinder, kindling, fuel wood, water for safety, clear fire pit. You're gonna start your tinder, you're gonna add kindling, then you're gonna add more kindling and more small pieces of wood before you add your fuel wood. Once you have a good base, then you add your fuel wood. Now you have a perfect fire that you will use all night, keep you warm and toasty, and it's gonna be a great time. I hope this video helped you. If it did, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and stick around. But if not, I still appreciate you, and until next time, peace.